Thank you so much for joining us, talking about paralegal qualifications today. And thank you very much to Jane Robson, NALP's CEO, who is joining us to answer all of those questions that we've got ready. And I said, and if you've got any, please do put them in the chat and we will get to them, definitely. So Jane, I have to start off really with why are qualifications for paralegals important? What's the point, if you like?
Well, I suppose the first thing is to make sure that they've got the information in their heads that they need to be a paralegal, that they understand the advice they're giving and what their position is and the legal sector and how it all works. Then, of course, there is also the thing of being able to show to your employers or clients, if you're providing services direct to the public, that you do know what you're talking about because you've got something to back up. You've got a certificate or whatever that shows that you have studied law. So you are not just coming into this as, oh, look, I've seen, you know, Law and Order a couple of times, and so obviously I know what I'm doing. You actually do know what the English legal system is about.
But they're not essential, are they? It's not like being a lawyer where you've got an essential course you've got to go through. To be a paralegal, you don't have to have them.
You don't have to have them, no, because being a paralegal, it's not a regulated, not statutory regulated as a role or a profession in and of itself. However, what it does do is it differentiates you from those that don't have any qualifications. So it'll differentiate you from, you know, if someone is just set up because maybe they've been a Mackenzie friend and they've now decided that they want to be a paralegal because they've got a bit of, they've helped a couple of friends through some civil litigation or something. And, but they set themselves up as a paralegal. But you could say, you know, you would be next door saying, well, yes, they've done a couple of cases, but I've done those cases and I've got the qualifications to back me up.
So it's really about giving credibility and comfort to clients and things like that, isn't it? Which is really important because we do live in a low trust society. So everything you can do to build trust and confidence and so on with the people you're working with has to be a good thing.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you've got to remember how many people these days, when they're looking for any sort of service, they're going online and they're checking what the differentiations are between the different service providers that are out there. And so it is a you know, something that puts you above your competition.
And you mentioned regulated, so that has to be my next question. What is the difference between a regulated qualification and a non-regulated qualification?
Well, regulated qualifications are like your GCSEs and your A levels and all those that are not just nationally but internationally accepted qualifications that are regulated by, in England it would be Ofqual, in, you know, Wales you've got Qualifications Wales, Scotland you've got the SQA, etc. Now having a regulated qualification gives it more kudos. The person that's looking at that can go, right, that is on the Ofqual register. They can check that it's Ofqual have recognized the qualification. They know that it's going to be accepted everywhere, just like your GCSEs and A levels are. It's got all the quality assurance behind it. If you've got an unregulated qualification, at the end of the day, you can get a paralegal qualification on Groupon. It drives me insane, but you know, that people have paid £25 for, and it's not worth the paper it's printed on, and they think, well, because it says level 3 or something, it's you know, it's the equivalent, and it's not, because it's probably taken them maybe reading something for 4 hours and doing a multiple choice online question paper. So the quality is a lot lower for that, because there is no quality assurance. No one is actually checking that it equates to a level 3, which is the same level as an A level.
Which brings me on to actually my next question was going to be, what's the difference between the levels? So the level 3 versus a level 4, what's the difference?
To equate it to more of the academic, a GCSE is a level 1 qualification. An AS would be the equivalent to a level 2 qualification, and A level is a level 3. The first year of university tends to be mapped across to a level 4. The second year is level 5, and the final year of getting your degree is a level 6. And then anything that's level 7 is a postgraduate qualification. So you already have to have had a degree or at least a level 6 to be able to do a level 7 in all cases. So that's the general kind of mapping, as it were. And of course, because they are Ofqual regulated, you can map them in that way, whereas you can't map an unregulated qualification in the same way, because there's no quality assurance ensuring that they actually meet those the levels that they're supposed to. But a level 3 is, from a legal perspective, for law qualifications, is an entry level. That's your foundation level. That's your, getting to know what the legal system is about, etc. When you get into level 4, then you're getting to drill down a bit deeper into the law and understanding what it really means to you if you're providing legal services in particular. And then and you get more and more granular to your knowledge and more awareness each time you go up. And it also, each level can be about, level 3 is you can do it, but you may need some supervision. Level 4 is you can have some autonomy. When you're getting into level 5, you could potentially be sort of having some kind of managerial over other people, some supervision. And level 6, again, you're more into the managerial and supervision of others. So that's another way of looking at it as well.
So if they can be mapped in that way, does that mean that I can, if I've got another qualification like a degree or an A level or something like that, I can leapfrog into a NALP qualification at a kind of higher level or something like that? Or does it not work that way?
You can, to a certain extent. It depends on what you've got. It does have to be, we have to be able to map it, at least sort of 75-80% of the content of whatever you've studied in another regulated qualification has to be able to be mapped to what our qualification content is. But we then will only allow a maximum of 1/3 of our qualification. So if there's if you're taking a level 3 diploma, for instance, and you've already got a level in law, we could only be able to give you 2 units. You would still have to do 4 units out of the 6 to be able to get the diploma, because we have to be able to have undertaken our own assessment of your capabilities from a regulated point of view to ensure that you have met all of the requirements of our qualification. So there's only so much that we can exempt anybody from. No one can do an A level and then come to us and go, look, I've got an A level. Can you now give me a NALP level 3? It's, no, you still have to do at least some of the studying, but we might sort of say, well, you don't have to do the first unit, which is all about the foundation of law, because you will have covered that in your A level, because the A level covers the same foundational knowledge.
And then if you flip it round the other way, so you've talked sort of about these kind of off-qual recognized qualifications means that you can do this mapping. So if you've done a paralegal qualification which is not off-qual recognized, therefore, because, can you map it across, or does that just not work now?
Doesn't really work very well. If you've, for a start, we can't always see exactly what the content is that you may have done for an unregulated qualification. We don't know about the quality assurance on it. We don't know, who has, how it's been done or anything like that. There are some exceptions if some people come over and they may have done, say, a degree in a different country, and we can map some of that across potentially. that's not regulated by Ofqual, but it's still been done by a university or something abroad, then we may be able to do something like that. But if it's not a regulated qualification and it's been delivered in the UK, it can be very difficult to map across. And of course, it has to be on the English legal system as well, because if someone does it on the Scottish legal system and comes down to it, they're not going to know the English legal system. There's too many differences.
Okay. So now thinking about that, I'm actually doing one of these qualifications. I'm studying for a NALP qualification to become a paralegal. And I don't know, I'm having trouble with it, or something happens in my life or whatever. Can I kind of pause? Can I have more time? Or is it a very set amount of time that you have and you've got to stick to it kind of, or else?
We have a thing that's called special considerations. There's reasonable adjustments and special considerations. If there's something unexpected that happens in your life whilst you're studying, you can apply for what's called special considerations. The maximum additional time we can give you is 25%. And you have to be able to prove that what's happened was A, completely unexpected, and B, would have affected you. We don't accept things like, well, my PC has broken and I need a new one, or or I've got a lot more work on and I haven't had time to study. That is, that's normal life stuff that you just have to get through. But if you have, I don't know, appendicitis, or something like that, then absolutely we will work with you. But the maximum time we can give you is 25%. We can't pause it indefinitely for you to pick it up again in 2 years' time. It's just not possible, because you could be disadvantaging other learners who are doing the same and still have a set amount of time in which they've got to do it. So we have to restrict the amount of additional time we give.
And I guess things could change as well. So what you learned, it may not be quite right anyway, but we'll come to that. The other thing about obviously learning is nowadays there's lots of different ways of learning, whether it's, in a classroom or online and those sorts of things. So what does NALP do with its qualifications in order to cater for people with special needs, whether that's a disability or something else that means that they need something different to help them do that qualification?
Yeah. One of the great things about NALP qualifications is that they are extremely flexible, because they can be delivered on a distance learning basis. They were actually created initially on a distance learning basis, but they also work well in a classroom basis. Now, most reasonable adjustments, which is what it's called, if someone has a permanent disability or a special educational need, they get a reasonable adjustment. Again, the maximum that we can give is an additional 25% a time. But if somebody needs, say, the workbooks or something in a larger font because of visual difficulties or anything like that, then we can absolutely arrange for something that simple. However, most reasonable adjustments are done at the college where you are taking the qualification, where you're studying, because they're the ones that would have a reader or an oral language modifier is another one that helps you with your assignments. But again, the assignments themselves, you're not coming in and having to take an exam in 2 hours and that's it. You get 4 weeks, you get it sent home, and you can do it in your time in 4 weeks and submit it after that to do the assignment. So you have time to get the help that you need from your college or from whoever it is that supports you in those things, because a lot of people with disabilities already have their own support system.
Now, we did mention just a moment ago about sort of things getting out of date, which of course happens all the time. The law is changing. So if something is, well, when things change and so on, what actually happens? How quickly are the modules and the qualifications actually updated? Or is there a risk that I will be learning something that's a bit old?
There's a potential that you could be learning something that's slightly old, because Someone that starts their learning journey, they're going to be given the workbooks at the outset, and that is the law at that point that they receive the workbooks. Now, the law could change during the 2 years or year or 2 years or whatever it takes for them to complete that particular qualification. Our assignments, our assessments are all based on the content of the workbook that you are looking at. If there is a major change, we will seek to change the workbooks as soon as we can. But what we don't want to do is disadvantage those learners that have already been studying on the old stuff. It is up to most people to keep abreast of the law if that is the sector that they're working in anyway. But the other thing that we will do is send an update to say, right, this piece of law has changed, but we have not changed the assignments. However, if you answer any assignment questions and cite the new law, you will still get the correct marks. You won't be disadvantaged for putting the old law or the new law, because it is based on the workbooks. But we also appreciate that those that do keep themselves abreast or that have had an update from us that this law has changed, then we will take that account in the marking.
And I guess that's another reason why it's really important, whatever level of qualification you've got, that you maintain your continuing professional development, your CPD, because things are changing all the time. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we recommend to learners and all our members as well is to make sure they are keeping their CPD logs up to date, and they read the relevant articles. They, the Law Society Gazette or the Lawyer or all those things that have the up-to-date things. They keep abreast of that themselves, because the legal sector is so fast changing, and especially, of course, since Brexit, so many things have been in a bit of flux since then, because we had so much precedent that was based on EU law. And whilst currently most of that is still in place, some of it is being changed as we speak on the basis that we're no longer in the EU. So there's an awful lot of changes going on out there, as we know. There's lots of bills that the government is looking to bring in that could then again change what is being taught in the NALP qualifications. But I would also point out that it can take 18 months to 2 years to completely change a qualification, to do a full update, because of all of the research, the authoring, and the checking, formatting, publishing, and everything like that. It's a very long process. So it can take a while for things to fully filter into our workbooks.
and of course that would be the same anywhere else in terms of if you're studying, your degree at university or whatever, these things.
Absolutely. If you start, and what tends to happen is you will just get the lecturer say, okay, well, you've been learning from this book, but actually that has changed now, and the lecturer will tell you what the difference is. And your tutor or teacher would normally do the same in for an NALP qualification. As I say, we do send out updates to the centres, which they are free to just pass on to the learners, because some of our centres only deliver through distance learning, so they'll just pass it directly on, and others will use it and send it to their teachers, and their teachers will pass it on in the classroom in a different format. But so long as we make sure the updates go out, that's how we do it.
Gotcha. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much then for giving us a sort of clarification on the different qualifications and why they are so important, and why it's really worth getting a qualification that can be mapped against others, the kind of, as you say, kind of regulated off-qual recognized qualifications, because that does mean that you can travel. I mean, even if you were going from England to Scotland, where you might have to do more learning, you've at least got something that's recognized and that you can kind of use as your way to go across. And of course,
I mean, obviously, if you were going to Scotland, because their system is so completely different, you would need to sort of take it and go. But it proves that you know something about the law and some basic precedents and things like that, which some of the basic precedents, it's just the legal structure is completely different.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think, yeah, so the takeaway there is qualifications are definitely worth having. So if you haven't got any yet, or maybe you've only got to a certain level, but you feel you know, actually this has inspired you to go a bit further, then that's fantastic. And of course, if you had any questions, we've got a few minutes, so please do put the questions into the chat. But if you felt there were questions you wanted to take offline, then we're always available to answer any questions about qualifications that you might have. Like if you're not sure what level to go in at, or whether this particular level is correct for you, or anything like that, then do just get in contact with us and we can absolutely talk you through that and help you choose the right one. And I think the other thing is as well is to make sure that the qualification that you do choose is one that can be recognised all over the place, because it's a lot of work taking a qualification. And you don't want to be wasting that work. And I know
No,
you're
absolutely
all
not.
short of time, so you want to do the most you can to, if you like, get the best bang for your buck. And when I talk about buck, I don't just mean money, I mean time too. So
Yeah, absolutely.
looking for those qualifications that can be passed over is definitely the way to go. So as I said, we've got a couple more minutes. If before we finish, we've got I think one question coming in. Is there anything after level 4 and before level 7? Because on the website, I've seen level 4, but then it goes straight to 7. So explain to me, where's 5 and 6?
On their way. We have always planned to bring in the additional qualifications. We've decided to do it we're building it in the next few years, so 5 and 6 should be out by 2026. We're revamping the entire qualification suite over the next few years, so the whole thing will be all up to date, all linking in with the SQE and everything like that, because that was one of the reasons for the delay, was seeing what the SRA were doing with the new qualifying exam for solicitors. And that all will all be coming in the next few years.
Watch this space, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And what level is the joint diploma?
The joint diploma equates roughly to a level 4. It is a specific thing, and I should just say, although we endorse it, we don't write any of the assessments or anything like that. That is with the university where you are taking it. So it is roughly the level 4.
Okay. I've got another question here from Linda Allett. This might be one that's perhaps best taken offline, but I'll read it out anyway in case it's answerable. But if not, then maybe, as I said, you can take it and have a chat. So Linda says, I have gained the level 3 diploma certificate and hope to complete my apprenticeship soon. However, I'm yet to pass the maths FS. At this stage, will a certificate of diploma be recognised as a qualification?
Yes. It is still a qualification. You don't have to have the apprenticeship. The apprenticeship, because we're also an endpoint assessment organisation now for the apprenticeship, so our version of those will be coming out soon as well. But you don't have to have this set qualification for the apprenticeship, and the qualification also isn't reliant on the apprenticeship. So it is a qualification in and of itself.
Right. So the level so Linda can be confident she has got a level 3 diploma.
She has got a level 3 diploma. Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, I think we're just about running out of time. So thank you so much to Jane Robson, the CEO of NALP. Also, Amanda Hamilton, our former CEO and patron, has been hiding in the background, but she is here. Yay, there she is.
Hey.
And thank you also to Nigel, who heads up our marketing, and also I think moonlights as our tech guy sometimes. So I was chucking you at him if you had a problem. But thank you, Nigel, for being there in the background, for dealing with the questions, and for being there ready in case anybody had any problems. Thank you to all of you as well for joining us today. I do hope that you found it useful. We have got another webinar. As you know, we're looking to do a webinar every month and have done for the last few months. This next webinar will be on Monday. I've got to check the dates. Monday, the 17th of April. We're doing another lunchtime one. If you've got any kind of preference between lunchtime and evening, do let us know. We want to make sure these webinars are at the right time and on the right subjects for you. So if you think, oh, I can't do all the lunchtime ones, evening is much better, just drop us a line and we will kind of try and organize things so it suits you the best that we possibly can. But of course, also remember that all of these webinars are available to members on the website. So if you feel that you use a topic that's coming up and you think, really want to do that, but I can't make that date, don't worry, it usually appears on the website within 3 or 4 days. Maybe give it a week maximum for us to just turn it around and get it onto the website for you. And of course, if there's any that you've missed in the past or something you'd like to revisit because you thought it was really interesting and I want to, to kind of remind myself, again, all on the website in the members area, so they're available to you to access there should you want to. So our next topic, it will be in April. I said it'll be on Monday, the 17th of April, same time as today, so starting at 12:30 p.m. So hopefully tying in with your lunch break. And the topic is legal aid 10 years on and what opportunities this means for paralegals. So you probably are aware that the virtual eradication of legal aid happened 10 years ago this April. There's been quite a lot of impact as a result of that, but also it does generate some opportunities for paralegals as well. So let's kind of look at the good and the bad, if you like. So we'll be talking about that at our next webinar. That'll be 12:30 lunchtime on Monday, the 17th of April. And we're going to be looking specifically, I said, at legal aid and 10 years on and what opportunities there are for you as paralegals. So hopefully you can join us then. I look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your lunch. Have a lovely, lovely afternoon. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.